Hello guys, welcome to Open Techno. Today on the channel we have a monitor, a gaming monitor. For all of you who are getting started in the world of video games and don't have a huge budget, this monitor does the job. Titan Army. Titan Army is a company that specializes in making this type of gaming monitors, but for a low budget. However, offering some top features such as high dynamic range, high frames per second, high resolution, among others, which we will see during the review. In this video, I'll introduce you to the Titan Army P27GR 27GR, a 27-inch model, which I'll discuss next. What features does it have and what makes it so special? Let's start this review by talking about what we get in the box when we open it for the first time. Of course, we get the monitor, a stand, and a base. The base, stand, and monitor install quickly with just 2 clicks, no screws required. Honestly, it's one of the most practical brands I've seen in this regard. Also, of course, it comes with a charger or a power supply to provide voltage and current to this monitor, and it comes with a DisplayPort cable, a DisplayPort to DisplayPort cable. However, as for the connections we have on this monitor, we have 2 HDMI ports and 2 versions of DisplayPort. And we also have a headphone output, because this monitor, although it allows you to manage audio, doesn't have built-in speakers. So we'll need to have headphones or external speakers. Just to mention, this monitor, the stand it has, allows you to tilt it. Or in other words, you can tilt the monitor more upwards or downwards to fully adjust it to your view. However, you can't adjust it in height or, for example, rotate it sideways to the left or right. For all of you who are wondering if you can move it easily. Although I don't think a monitor is meant for that, this monitor weighs 3.6 kilograms. It's really very light and it's almost effortless to move it. Alright, now let's start talking about the monitor itself. Once connected, I'll hook it up to my MacBook Pro using HDMI since I don't have a console. To give you a demonstration right now of we'll connect the MacBook Pro via HDMI to display a 27-inch image on the monitor for gaming. With a fast and plain switching panel, also a flat panel, it's not curved or anything like that. With a 16:9 aspect ratio, something super typical in the market, and with a 2000 resolution, or in other words, 2560 by 1440 pixels. It has really good colors. It covers the full sRGB range, which means we have a 90% P3 color gamut. This is more about image topics, something a bit geeky. For all of you who like color a bit more, I'll just say that it has a really good variety of colors and it looks great. This monitor has high dynamic range. Then a very simple high dynamic range, but it already gives us a high dynamic range between the shadows and the highlights. For all of you who don't know what high dynamic range is, it's high dynamic range, and that's basically what it is. We have a greater amount of brightness between the areas that are dark and those that are very bright in the image. You're likely tired of seeing it on social media. I'm sure you know what it is, so here it is. The display offers a brightness of 300 nits, which seems more than sufficient at maximum setting. I usually keep it a little lower and we have very good viewing angles. We have 178 degrees of viewing angle. I almost forgot the most important point. If it's a monitor made for gamers, what's special about it? We have 180 Hz refresh rate. For those of you who don't know what this is, basically, it's the refresh rate. It's the number of times per second that the image updates on our monitor. For those of you who aren't familiar with this, in movies, for example, the refresh rate is usually 24 or 25. Computer monitors are usually 60 Hz, some good monitors have 120 or 140 Hz, but this one has 180. It's a very high refresh rate. What is this good for? Well, especially when we're playing games, it gives us much better latency and much better reaction to stimuli. Because since the monitor refreshes more times per second, our body, so to speak, will see that updated image much sooner. And then, a very important aspect related to this, we have a 1 millisecond response time. This gaming monitor has a response time of just 1 millisecond compared to the typical 5 milliseconds for regular monitors. Now, we have a typical menu displayed on screens and monitors. It's very simple. We have image settings, we have sound settings, we have configuration settings, basically general monitor settings, high dynamic range resolutions, all these kinds of things. We navigate through the menu simply, using the 4 buttons to access move up, move down, or return to the previous menu. We move around the screen. As you can see in some shots, it's actually, well, it's pretty simple. Once you find that point you like for contrast, brightness or viewing mode, you just leave it there and you probably won't have to adjust it again. These buttons can also set up the video input, which is usually automatic and detects the channel being used. It receives the image and displays it on the screen as shown here. However, if we have the PlayStation, the computer or the laptop connected, we could manually select which one we want to display. I'll share the price up front, as I believe it will significantly influence many people's decisions. At any given moment, it's important to consider the cost. This monitor offers many features, including high dynamic range 2000 resolution and 180 Hz, which is rare among monitors. And all this for a price of $180, which would be a bit less in euros. And having mentioned the price, I'm going to tell you a bit about my impressions. My impressions are very good. Honestly, I was surprised. The colors are great and I've been experimenting with it. Because it has a lot of different types of vision. We have standard, movie, gaming, and high dynamic range modes, among many others. But in the end, by trying them out, do you find the one you like the most in terms of colors, brightness, and contrast? Once that's settled, well, the 180 Hz are there. I haven't been playing games much except for some online ones that I can play on my Mac, as I've never been into playing on PlayStation or other platforms. Nevertheless, I've been watching videos of what it would be like to play at those 180 Hz. And honestly, it gives an incredible smoothness. You're probably seeing it through the camera, which of course I know isn't the same. But just so you can get a small idea of what games would look like. Also, that 2000 resolution honestly gives a really good level of detail to all the games. We can't forget that it's a cheap monitor and that it's going to have, for example, well, some disadvantages. It's true that even though we have 2000 and the resolution is super good, sometimes it feels like, for example, the letters aren't completely defined. But hey, we're comparing a monitor that's a 180 Hz entry-level gaming monitor that offers a different set of features, compared to someone who, for example, wants this monitor to edit photos at the highest resolution. As shown in the examples, I began coding in Python and have been utilizing ChatGPT. In split screen mode, we have more than enough space to do this kind of multitasking. And the truth is, well, except for that little glitch in some detail. When we're purely reading or editing photos or doing things that require that level of detail, the monitor performs exceptionally well. And with that said, any questions you have about the Titan Army P27GR, you can leave them below in the comments and we'll answer you as soon as we can. And if you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like. It really helps us to keep going and upload this kind of videos. So, with that said, I hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.